two, one, boost ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LaTB, LaTB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Cheeto.
Starting off the night on the pay-per-view.
So we don't know what city we're in, though. UFC, that's where we got off the
Oh, that's where it went off the rails. I want to say Anaheim, because they're usually there. August 4th, Garbrandt. Oh, I don't have it off the top. But we are off of the top, starting with Chito Vera, which this fight shouldn't be here.
It is. It's UFC Los Angeles 227.
Oh, good call. Here I am, LA hating.
Dillashaw versus Garbrandt 2.
And this is a backyard for both of these fighters now. I think TJ spent more time. No, he's in Colorado now. That's so far later. Chito Vera.
He isn't. He's not in Colorado. TJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Against debuting.
We might as well talk about it because it's the most exciting thing on this card and maybe the only thing on the card.
Oh, it's not the only one for sure.
But I do think he opened a gym in California with Cub.
Cub and a few other fighters.
So he is fighting out of there, training out of there right now.
Yep. And splitting time in Colorado. So, Chito Vera versus debuting Wu Lingji Buren. Buren coming off of the China scene. Both of these fighters are coming off of a loss. Not debut for Buren. Buren actually lost to Rolando Dai, or D, the Filipino fighter, in a decision 8 months ago. And Chito Vera, here at LaTB, we've always made money moves with huge upsets in the favor for Chito Vera. And here we've been on Chito Vera. We like his heart, and you can't train that. Gas tank's always been a little bit lacking. He has power in his knees. Great clinch. Off of his back does really well. Okay takedowns. Just at times that gas tank for Chito Vera can get him in trouble. For Buren, though, doesn't have the best gas tank. Hasn't been challenged against high-level competitors. I mean, Chito Vera's last 2 losses out of his 12-5 record are John Lineker and Douglas D'Andrade. Douglas Andrade looked like a motherfucking murderer, by the way, that last fight. Chito Vera looked really good for himself, and the minus 390 favorite, I could see why. It's just the experience, the talent level. Buren out of China is coming off of wrestling credentials, and he's actually being replaced, his opponent. It used to be Kandari, the Indian wrestler, and 2 weeks' notice, Chito Vera stepping in because he's a fucking beast. And that's why we love Chito Vera. He's always down to scrap. Being a heavy favorite, you can see why Buren's wrestling against Chito's wrestling, who's been in the States for a while now, is definitely ever improving there. It's an easy one-sided. I'm going to try to pick Chito wherever I can for 9,300 on DraftKings. I'm going to find a way to get him in there. I think he submits Buren in the second round at 6,900 for DraftKings. Who are you going with this fight?
I'm going to put Cheeto on a few for all the same reasons. We love Cheeto at Lesbo and the Bean. We put Cheeto everywhere. Always making them money moves with Cheeto.
Exactly. It is... I don't like to pay minus 4-1 or 4-1 odds on anyone, but I feel really comfortable with Chito Vera here. It's just everywhere. Everywhere the fight is. Buren doesn't have power.
I won't put it... I still will do half-seas with the... Stay away from the first fight of the night. It'll get you.
Oh, that's a good call.
It'll get you. I wouldn't put it everywhere.
LaTB staple. But this is where this next fight at strawweight, Daniel Taylor versus debuting Li Xiang, should be 16-1. They should be the starter. They should be the curtain jerker. Definitely.
See, I think there's ones further up on the card that should be the curtain. I think Daniel Taylor's earned her spot on a comfortable prelim, not a fight pass.
I could see your point there. Taylor is 9-3. Her only loss is coming in the UFC against Moroz, and then as of late, she got a 2-fight winning streak and last lost to J.J. Aldridge in a decision. Taylor, we know what we're getting with this short, stout 28-year-old. She backs up the entire time and throws an overhand right that will knock you out. If you do walk forward into Taylor's power, she will hurt you. Very John Dodson-esque without any of the forward pressure, which makes Danielle Taylor, DraftKings, stay away all day. You can't trust her for that knockout, and she goes to decision more than she knocks women out in there. Really just being on that back foot. Her wrestling isn't all that good. Take down the fence, okay, but we don't have to worry about that with the Chinese fighter. Did watch some of Zhang's fights. She likes to move forward, throws a lot of kicks. Her grappling is okay, but against the competition level she had, it was just other women at strawweight that nobody really looked shredded in there. A lot of sloppy transitions on the ground, and a lot of Zhang's just forward momentum and pressure really won her decisions, if not would get knockouts, because other women would be overwhelmed. Unfortunately here, we have Zhang coming in as a huge favorite, minus 245, and as I was saying before, if you walk forward on Danielle Taylor, it's the only time you give her a shot to win a fight. I hate myself. I'm going to have to take a shower early on in the night because I'm going with Taylor on this one. Decision, if not a potential finish in the third round, but I think it's Zhang doesn't move her head when she moves forward. She runs in and throws punches, and it lands on a lot of women. Taylor loves to throw that right and try to back right away. So, I think this is a stylistic nightmare potentially for Zhang. I hate it. I hate myself for even saying it. I got Taylor decision. Who do you have in this fight? Big underdog.
I think it's easy to pick Danielle Taylor and not hate yourself. Not hate yourself at all. I don't even know why everyone's so high on the other girl, because she knocked a few people out. Look back at the record of the people she knocked out, and they've only fought twice in their whole life. Danielle Taylor's not that girl. She has tons more power than anyone this Chinese woman has seen. Danielle Taylor has a probably top 3 power for the 115 division of the ladies. She's short and stout, and she reminds me a lot of a John Lineker with less punches in her combination. She just comes forward, the head's down a little bit. She doesn't have as good shoulder head movement as Jessica Andrade, but she's very similar to her and me. I don't hate Danielle Taylor at all, and I think it's crazy that she's such an underdog, so it makes it easy to pick her on this as far as I'm concerned. I have Danielle Taylor knockout round 2.
Please tell me we have another underdog, because that can't. That hurts my heart if that was our underdog for reals. Danielle Taylor has just come up so short for me so many times, and it's just that Cajun Johnson style of fight where it's, I'm going to turn around and run, or just not be there, and it can be really low.
I never see Danielle Taylor run.
I guess not. Maybe more lateral movement, but she won't engage. For Taylor, she's 8,000. Zhang debuting on DraftKings is 8,700 against Taylor's 7,500. Wow.
Taylor's my underdog right now.
Wow,
and
so
easy
far.
for 7-5. She doesn't throw a ton of punches. I only see her getting about 45, 55 points with the win, but I see her getting 55 points with the win. I think she could knock this girl out. Danielle Taylor's been known to catch a few girls. I think she could catch this girl. I think she's being underestimated here.
Wow. Woo. Woo, woo, woo. So there we go. That was just such a funky card. I did not expect that. Then we go to the 135-pound division, bantamweights.
I do believe I always pick Danielle Taylor.
I feel like I'm always in that boat too, and I'm always like, oh, she's got power, but it's a puncher's chance. And then all of a sudden, she throws 4 punches.
I'm watching her get better and better and better and better. And Moreau's, for all intents and purposes, tons more experience than Taylor. For all the reasons I wanted to give Taylor that fight, I should have given it to Moreau's because it was about, the experience. This is why I'm giving it to Taylor now. She got that UFC experience.
She does. She does, and I do like to give people the advantage for that because Zhang hasn't fought in that type of, I don't care who it is, it's the UFC. Different level. Different, big level change for them. At 135, though, we have Kyu Ho Kang against Ricardo Ramos. Ramos 11-1, being a veteran now in the UFC, having 2 fights, winning both of those against Tanaka over a year ago, and last, Sahabi Faraz, TriStar's younger brother, in a devastating elbow. Zahabi was getting picked apart in there, actually, by Ramos, and looked like he was losing most of that fight the whole way. Ramos looked really good on his feet. On the ground, super nasty as well. Really a dangerous fighter. I love him as an introduction to the division. Kang, also having a few fights in the UFC, last beating Guido Canetti in a submission. Prior to that, also beating Tanaka in a split decision, and only losing to Chico Camus, who is no longer in the UFC, and that was due to Chico Camus' wrestling. The 14-7 fighter, Kang, actually has a lot of power, okay takedown defense, and is always down for a brawl in there. One of the worst things you can do with Kang in there is get in the pocket and strike with him, because his right hand does put people down, and people get a little bit comfortable in there because Kang will eat a shot or two, won't give a fuck just to land that killer strike. But from what I've seen with Ramos, he's an intelligent striker. I like his fight IQ. He throws really precision shots, has a good gas tank, stays on the outside until he moves in with good power, and then on the ground, we haven't seen him much, but what we have seen has been ultra serviceable. Kang just kind of tend to try to stay on top or not even get to the ground. I got Ramos' decision, if not potentially a finish in here. I like Ramos a lot more. I think Kang's underrated, though. I think people are 2-1. Might be a little heavy, but I do have Ramos in this one.
I have Ramos KO round 3. I don't feel great about it. This is going to be my stay away fight. I think this could go either way. I see Ramos could easily get caught by like a guillotine or a standing guillotine and jump into it, or a head and arm, something like that. This is a real tricky fight, and I just am nervous all the way around. I have Ramos KO round 3 right now. Neither guy...
It's a close one.
Yeah,
it's
closer
closer than
fight.
it is. At 2-1, it's close against 7,600 on Kang. The value might... There's a coin flip. This is more of a coin flip by far. Again, interesting fight when we can't call them. Interesting fight. So, one we're looking forward to. This is a banger, though. I do see this being a fight of the night potential.
If it ends up being a banger, I think Ramos wins it. And I think he can catch him by the late round 2, early round 3. If it ends up being a grinder, it could be boring AF, and I think that Hang could catch a submission or take out enough of Ricardo's cardio that it ends up just being sluggish by the end of round 2 and round 3. I'm nervous. Like, it could be the best fight, or if it's the fight you think, I feel good about the Ramos pick.
Right. It's going to be a fun one in there. Definitely looking forward to that one. We stay with the lightweight guys actually going to flyweight. Jose Shorty Torres against Alex Perez. Torres being 8-0 in there. His debut win coming in against Jared Brooks, who 10% of the time knocks himself out in most of his fights, apparently. So we really saw Jared Brooks take it to Shorty Jose Torres against 20-4 Perez. Perez now having a few fights in the UFC, winning his Contender Series fight via choke, winning his debut versus Thomas via submission, and then 5 months ago beating Eric Shelton in a decision. Perez looking like all around a grinder of a fight, tough fight in there. These guys look very similar to me, all the way around, striking wise. Torres looked really one-dimensional in there against Brooks, and I think that stylistically is a fight that's really influencing this. And Perez isn't a Jared Brooks in there by any means. It's a completely different style, and I think that makes it closer than it is. The ground advantage, I think, is going to neutralize each other out with Perez wanting to get it to the ground, but Shorty Torres being able to keep it standing. I got a coin flip here. I think Torres is a live dog, and this is a near even fight. Minus 145 for Perez. I got the decision. I think this is a 29-28. It could go either way. I'm not going to expose myself too much on DraftKings because I think this goes to decision. This is going to be a fun one. I think people are overstating Torres's, even though it's a coin flip, last win. Because it was.
I totally do. I actually have Perez walking away with this. I think he handles Torres everywhere. I thought Torres was handled in his last fight in every aspect of the fight, and he did not look great to me at all. I bet he got less points than Jared Brooks, even though he had the finish. He didn't throw anything the whole fight. He was manhandled the entire fight and then threw up a submission right at the end. So I have Perez KO round 2. I don't like Jose Torres going forward, and I don't remember seeing UFC caliber action from him last time in there. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow,
I got it
wow.
handedly. Alex Perez.
Perez, 8,400 against Torres's 7,800. I think I am going to expose myself a bit more to Perez than Torres, as well as that gas tank. Seen a bit better on Perez than Torres. I think most people are siding with that. Then we go to the flyweights, 145 pounds. Shyamalan Moraes versus Matt Salis. Salis 7-1, coming in off of a Contender Series win. He ended up winning via ground and pound a month ago, so he's coming in semi-short notice against the 9-2 fighter. Moraes losing to Magomed Sharipov via submission Darce choke. So that doesn't look so bad in hindsight because Sharipov is a bit of a monster. Moraes coming in out of Brazil, 27 years old against the 24-year-old. Tends to be a good striker. On the ground is high level. The tape with Moraes, or with the fight that he just lost to the Russian Zabit, he looked good in there. Zabit really had to work at that fight, and a lot of people said, hey, they saw holes in there, and those holes were created because Moraes was a live dog in there. Never gave up, never stepped backwards. Finally, the submission came, but I don't see that type of output, that type of spinning action, that type of pressure coming from Matt Salis. Salis is all around a good fighter. He doesn't stick that out to me anywhere. Stands behind his wrestling. Okay, out of Alliance MMA, he's training with Dominic Cruz, has that type of footwork at
Jeremy
times.
Stevens.
All those guys. He's definitely practicing high level. This one is near even as well. This is a coin flip. -110 against -120 for Matt Salis. Salis being the slight favorite here. Slight favorite. I think Moraes pulls this off just because coming off of that Zabit fight, Moraes is like, whoa, that's an elite guy. That's what I need to do to be elite. Salis hasn't had that yet. He's beat Contender Series guys and other guys that are at his level. Moraes is going to grow so much faster after that loss because he now, again, is like, all right, that's what I need to do. I see the growth being there for Moraes. I'm going decision, possibly a finish. I like Moraes here. I think this is going to stay at -115 by the closing odds. Who do you have in this fight? I got decision, Moraes.
I agree with you. I remember about the Zabit fight. Moraes looking really good and Zabit not looking as hot of a prospect as everyone making him out to be. And I love Zabit. I just remember like the fire was hot going into the fight, and I was like, huh. So I think Moraes is one of those guys that maybe makes people, if he made somebody like Zabit look bad, who is somebody that a coach is like, this is the best fighter I've ever worked with, ever in my life. Zabit is like the most elite out of all these other elite athletes that I've worked with. Then maybe Moraes is too. So I got Moraes KO round 3, and it's not because of anything Matt Salis is or isn't. It's just because Shaman was in a real fight with Zabit last fight and looked really good. I think if a guy's not elite, what's going to happen? I agree with you.
So 8,300 for Salis against Moraes is 7,900. I am loving that price on DraftKings. If we're both feeling decided on that, I feel like I'm going to get a good amount of exposure to Moraes as well. Not 100%. Nothing should be 100% because that'll fucking ruin your night. But I'm going to say in that 75% range of cards, I'm going to put Moraes. Then we go to the bantamweights. This is going to be the little guys for most of the night. I don't know if we do have anyone getting higher than, or getting too high.
This should have been the fight
there.
that opened the night.
Ooh, interesting. At bantamweight, Ricky Simon against Montel Jackson. Jackson being 6-0. Winning his debut fight at the Contender Series against Delicchio. Simon being 13-1, winning his first fight in the UFC against Mirab Dakishvili 3 months ago. This is a lot like the Torres fight with the Jared Brooks situation, where Simon was picked apart that entire fight. He was outworked by Dakishvili. Dakishvili said that he was pumping his legs, but he was out. I had Simon winning that fight. And I thought Simon lost that fight, other than them saying, hey, that dude was out.
Yeah, he
by
lost
a choke.
the entire fight.
All 3 rounds,
Yeah.
decided 30-27.
Agreed.
Simone was just a stick in the mud compared to Zabit, but I don't think that Montel can mimic that stylistic matchup by any means whatsoever. Again, this is a huge step up for the bantamweight coming out of Pura Vida MMA. They have a couple UFC fighters, but the minus 200 favorite, I do think that these guys are at the same level. Simon's last win was a little flukish, but I do think that all the way around, Simon can get this to the ground and end up keeping it there more so. I think after the striking clinic that was just put against him against Dakashvili, Simone's going to really implement a wrestling heavy game, as well as that gas tank is going to grow more for Simon. Same situation as before. Then Jackson, who just won a fight, first round TKO. I think Simon gets it into the later rounds. I do see a finish in the second or third for Simon via submission, because I do think that the advantage is definitely there for him if he chooses to go there. I got submission round number 3, Simon. Who do you have in this fight?
I think Montel Jackson has twice the power of Dakashvili, and I think Simon's going to be in trouble here. He took so much damage in that last fight and still had his wits about him to pull off a submission right at the tail end, but I just think he took so much damage because Dakashvili isn't that powerful. So I think Montel Jackson is going to catch him at the beginning of round 2, end of round 1. I got Jackson KO round 2.
Woo! Splitting it finally.
I didn't like anything I saw from Simone last fight, or Simon, or whatever.
Yeah,
I did not like anything I saw, and I don't love Dakashvili enough to have been high on him just getting manhandled for the 3 rounds before the submission. So I'm just going with a guy with tons of power over a guy that didn't show me anything.
Then we go to the headlining FS1, debut, the highlighted fight on FS1.
The main event of the prelims.
There it is. Pedro Munoz versus Brett Johns. This actually is a really interesting fight, and this is one that I would say is worthy to be on the main card. I think this is pay-per-view worthy of a fight. Both of these fighters have made a name for themselves in the division, both coming off of a loss. Brett Johns, his first ever, with 15-1 against Pedro Munoz's 15-3. Munoz getting his first loss against John Dodson, split decision. But prior to that, beating Rob Font and a few other guys, Stasiak, who else did he beat in there? Scoggins and Russell Doan, where Brett Johns, his only loss to Aljamain Sterling, but beat Soto as a big underdog. He also manhandled Albert Morales and Quack, who was on earlier as well. Brett Johns, good striker, good clinch, good gas tank on the ground. He's sneaky as hell. Showed us against DeSoto with that calf slicer. All of that can be said for Pedro Munoz, though the hittable fighter is Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz tends to get hit a bit more. His head is a little bit more straight up, but on the ground, Munoz credentially, just like Soto, should be better with his black belt elite level championship level. That guillotine is where Munoz, though, always makes his money. Munoz as well, as he's got a good gas tank, and even though he eats a lot of shots, he will definitely keep moving forward, and we haven't really seen his chin tested horribly too much. He's somewhat got dropped, but if Brett Johns can't knock out Aljamain Sterling, who was just murdered 3 months before that, Brett Johns hasn't really ever showed us that he has tons of power. He's more kill you by 1,000 cuts. So this is going to be a gas tank battle, and striking wise, I see it fairly even. I got a coin flip of a fight. I know people are definitely siding with Munoz at minus 270. 3-1 odds against Brett Johns. I don't see it. I see maybe minus 150 slight favorite for Munoz. I'm going to go with Munoz here, decision. But Brett Johns, if you're a betting man, Brett Johns is a live dog here. I do not see that decided of a fight. Who do you have in this one?
I agree with you on everything. This should be a lot closer. It's not because I'm fading Pedro Munoz. If he was in a heavier weight class, I would be fading him. but I just don't think you can get slower at the 135 division. And Brett Johns is just on his way up, and Pedro Munoz is just on his way down. I got Brett Johns' decision, and I do think this is a fight of the night contender. I think it's going to be amazing, fast, tons of transitions, tons of hands, forward movement, backward movement. I think you're going to see everything from both guys.
Great
Anything
call.
could happen.
This is a really, really fun one. Really, really fun one. Then we open up the pay-per-view with the destruction of a poor Kevin Holland debuting in the UFC against Thiago Maheta Santos. Santos coming in with a 17-6 record, coming off of a loss to Dave Branch, but prior to that, having a 4-fight winning streak, beating Jack Hermanson, Anthony Smith, and quite a few other guys. The Bellator proven last contender series winner, Holland, beat Will Santiago in a decision. One of the rare times we've seen one of these guys come off of a decision and actually still get a contract. Again, with the other guys on the contender series, those are other entry-level UFC fighters. Santos has fought contenders.
Yes.
Legitimate contenders, beating people like...
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone who...
If you've come through the 185, he's fought.
He's fought a multiple amount of people. We know what we're getting with Santos. Heavy duty kicks. I mean, kicks that'll cut you in half. Branch, elite level guy. Branch has only lost to very few people in there.
Yeah, David Branch gets no respect
at all.
So losing to David Branch is not a...
Doesn't look bad at all. And that Anthony
We might have had
Smith
David
fight,
Branch in that fight.
Yeah, and I did have Branch in that fight as a big 2-1 underdog against Santos.
I think you did, yeah.
Totally. But you could see where Santos is more one-dimensional. You're not going to ever see a takedown thrown in there from Thiago Santos. He's going to try to kick you in half, and most of the time he's going to be able to do it. Able to get in there in grueling fights. Has a good gas tank for as much power as he throws. He does slow down, but he is such a power striker in that first round that a lot of people cannot deal with it. Holland, I don't think is going to be one of those guys. At 13-3, he's a 25-year-old prospect that should be fighting much lower caliber, but somebody gave him a shot to be on the pay-per-view, and like any young fighter, yes, boss, I'll take whoever you want. I don't want to be...
I'll be a highlight reel, sure.
Sure. You're going to put me on a pay-per-view card my first fight?
Yep, sure.
All right, let's do it. He's got nothing to lose here, except maybe a broken face. And I see Thiago Santos running away with it. TKO round number 1. I'm going to expose myself 90% on my DraftKings, but I think a lot of people will. Santos is going to be decided. Probably heaviest fight of the night. His betting odds are Thiago Santos is minus 365 against the plus 305 for Holland. Who do you have in this fight?
Same. I don't need to add anything else. And I'll even have the Santos on probably 80% of my cards.
So Santos is 9,200 against 7,000 for Holland. I think that line is spot on because I see a TKO round number 1. So you're going to get your 100 plus points. Then we go to the strawweights at 115 pounds. Paulina Vienna versus JJ Aldridge. Paulina coming in with a 10-1 record, last beating Stevenson, who was Jeremy Stevenson's wife. That's her biggest claim to fame.
Stevens or Stevenson?
Stevens. It's Stevens. Jeremy Stevens' wife, but she's 35 and was already a fade debuting in there against Vienna, who looked good against somebody who probably doesn't deserve to be in there, who got her shot because of Stevens' name. JJ Aldridge, last winning, she's 6-2, only losing in the UFC to Juliana Lima, last beating Danielle Taylor. Then she beat, who was it prior to that?
Mijion.
And also having some Invicta
experience. And she lost to
Lima. She lost to Lima in there. But JJ Aldridge likes to be a striker, stays on the outside, very Chukagian, like we saw in that. Doesn't go to the ground on the ground, doesn't do tons. Vienna has a good ground game as well. This is one where I'm going to go refill my drink I don't see a finish coming either way, but I do expect to see Aldridge just stay on the outside more. Vienna had good forward pressure against the fighter again, who I don't think deserves to be in there. The Brazilian fighter has a lot of growing to do. I just think that this is going to be slop city all the way around for both ladies. The experience, I'm siding with the experience in Aldridge, but I'm going to stay away from this everywhere. Betting lines, everything. I don't like this being on the pay-per-view at all. I think that they could have replaced this with quite a few other fights and it would have made more sense, because you're not helping the buys with this fight at all.
And you're not helping for new fans that maybe are tuning in for the first time if they think this is it's going to be the possibility of a fight they get to see. I agree with you. I actually see Aldridge handling this a little better than everybody thinks.
I agree. The decided minus 270 favorite for Vienna?
Is Vienna, like, am I forgetting who she is or something? Am I having a brain fart on what she's done? But as far as I can tell, she's only beat girls that never fought before.
Yes,
It'd be like she fought me in her last fight and submitted me. So what?
She moves forward really well, and she has that killer instinct, so a lot of people are putting money on that. But again,
I
those
think
are
Aldridge looked
zero
good
fighters.
against Danielle Taylor.
Yep.
I was actually surprised at how well she handled every round of
She
that
put a
fight.
game plan together.
Took a ton of power punches too. She's not going to have to worry about that, in my opinion. I got Aldridge's decision.
Decision as well. Vienna 8,900 against JJ Aldridge 7,300. Wow. So we have one of the few women that has beat Danielle Taylor as our other underdog of the night. Wowza. Woo! This is a fun fight night, ladies and gentlemen. Fun fight night we have underway. Then we go to Cub Swanson at 145 pounds against Hento Carnero. This is actually a hell of an exciting bout. Carnero coming in at 12-1, only lost in the UFC to Brian T-City Ortega, but Carnero last beating Calvin Cater 3 months ago and really putting on a clinic, beating also Jeremy Stevens in a split decision. Carnero has high credentials in there. A lot of people seeing being a top contender in there, and I agree. For his size, the way he moves, his Muay Thai head movement, ground specialty, Carnero is a son of a bitch for anybody in there, and he was picking apart T-City until that jumping triangle came in the third round. Cub Swanson, though, 25-9, ever perennial gatekeeper for that top 5 spot. Cub Swanson is no chump and only loses to really elite guys. Brian Ortega with a submission in there, and his 2 last fight losing streak, and Frankie Edgar decision. I mean, those are top also 3 and 4 fighters. So Cub Swanson, we know what we get in there. Doesn't have tons of power, but can really use his wrestling to dominate fights in there. Can be susceptible to submissions. Got a good gas tank. Not tons of power, and is just seasoned. The biggest detriment to Cub Swanson at this point in his life.
Like a good saddle.
Definitely.
Or a good steak. I guess you don't have to season a good steak.
What we will see, though, is a lot of blood on that steak, because Cub Swanson cuts incredibly easily, which is going to make the fight look that much more one-sided with the precision striking that we see with Carnero in there. Carnero also throws really good, well-timed elbows in there. I don't like the minus 330 underdog for Cub Swanson. Plus 450 is just a little bit disrespectful. And that has been all bettors. The line actually opened up at minus 165 Carnero, which I'm spot on. Carnero deserves to be the favorite here with everything we've been seeing and how he's moving forward as Cub's kind of slowly moving down. But 400,
I think 215. I could see between 150, 215.
I see 150. Minus 150 between 200. I'm totally okay with that. Before, there's no value there for Carnero at all. I am deciding with Carnero decision. I could even see a later finish here, but I just think Cub Swanson definitely has more of a shot than 4-1. Much more of a shot.
I agree. And he's been training now in strength and conditioning with TJ at their new training
Good call.
center. And it's RAIN, like train, but it's REIGN.
Same as Rain Training Center. Yeah.
But the thing, but I think it's like the rain inside of the train. I don't know.
Yes,
whatever.
it is.
Okay.
You're correct.
But Cub's body looks better than I've ever seen it right now. He looks amazing. TJ says he's in the best shape ever, and I like everything that TJ's had going on. So if that rubs off on Cub a little bit, he should not even be close to an underdog. He should be a live dog at 150 or 2 under. At 450, I actually think there's a little bit of money to be made on Cub because I don't see tons of power coming from Canero, and Cub has a good chin. He makes for an exciting fight. So even if he doesn't land a bunch of punches, if he's 4-1 favorite, then Cub's going to be worth every cent on DraftKings. He's going to at least get 40 points. I got Canero decision. I don't see Cub getting finished here. So
I agree. So actually
So if Cub comes out, and everything I love about DJ, if Cub comes out with any of that and is a better version of Cub,
So Carnero is 9,100 against 7,100 on DraftKings. I agree with what you're saying. We're not picking Cub, but the wager staple here at LaTB, Cub Swanson fits all of the criteria, and he doesn't have to be your underdog, but he will give you some exposure to other fights in there, potentials to pick. I don't know if I want to give you my greasy ass theory that you kind of alluded to a little bit here, or wait till the main event, because it does involve the main eventers, and I guess I'll bring it back to Cub on why he does deserve to be the wager in there. So then we go to the co-main event of the night. We have a reunion in there with Olympic gold against Demetrius Johnson's UFC gold, because if you want to play a little side game, take a shot this entire fight night, and this is a Team Alpha Male thing. Every time you hear about the gold belt that's Henry Cejudo has won the gold in the Olympics, take a shot, and you're going to have a fun night. I guarantee it. You might be in a bonus round during that fight, because every 10 seconds you're going to hear about a gold belt. I promise you.
So you think it's going to go long?
I think it's going to go longer than the first time. But I just see the ever perennial champ in there doing what he does best. Coming off of surgery, Demetrius Johnson being the pound for pound. I don't care who you are. That is, if there's a hypothetical pound for pound, Demetrius Johnson is the only one who fits all of the criteria. Damn it. Maybe I can't say that. In my eyes, he does. But, great game plan. We know what he comes in with a game plan. He's the
only guy, though, that we can say that regardless of who you are, no one argues that he should be in the talk. Any other person you put in there, some asshole will be like, no, he's never defended a belt, or no, he lost to the one guy twice, or no, everybody else in there has a reason that they argue out. You really have to be hard-pressed to argue DJ out of that talk. And so I think that's the one thing you can say for sure is everybody has DJ in their talk of pound for pound. So that would make him the pound for pound for me.
I would agree with that 100%. But
why are we talking about this anymore? Give the guy the credit. Maybe if you called him pound for pound, you'd sell some of his fights.
From what I understand, DJ's rivaling his UFC money with that Twitch money, baby. With that Twitch stream. He's making... I
believe it.
Yeah, legitimately. This fight, because it is number 2, I feel like we can't get away from all the technical stuff. Henry Cejudo has 2 more years of practicing his game. He's now been in the UFC for 5 years. Coming in with a total of 12-2. His only 2 losses to DJ and to Joseph Benavidez, the top 1 and 2 in the division. Last beating Pettis decision and Wilson Hayes. I mean, can he really grow that much more? I think that Henry Cejudo is going to try to come out with a different game plan, but again, with everything we've seen with Demetrius Johnson, his pace, his skill, his fight IQ, the highest level of fight IQ we see there is DJ. I think it's going to be more of the same. I think Cejudo is going to not go out in the first round, but what I do see happening is maybe that wrestling being employed that much more, that clinch game being stepped up a little bit more, but eventually DJ does what he always does. He ends up just running away with the fight. And I have a submission round number 4 or 5. I think the prop bet to make for all the bettors that want some of those specific prop bets is on DJ in rounds 4 or 5. You know he likes to try to finish people to make a point because people say he can't finish people, and Cejudo is just going to get overwhelmed in that 4th and 5th round because he's good in a 3-rounder. Again, championship level rounds. DJ has all the experience. Round number 5, submission against Cejudo. I'm liking DJ in a lot of spots here. Who do you have in this one?
I have DJ submission as well. I just have it happen a little earlier. I think once you get into round 3, Cejudo's going to have tried it all, given a whole new game plan, another try, and in round 3 he's going to go in for a single or double leg and just leave his neck a little too low. DJ's going to cinch it up and choke him out. I think he'll do something crazy to finish it, and it could happen at the end of round 2. I think Demetrius Johnson is the best everywhere, and he's changing the game every time he goes into the octagon, and every time we get to see him have a proper amount of time to prepare for a guy, he finishes it spectacularly. So I think this is going to be something. He already knows Cejudo going in, and Cejudo is, his downfall is he is that great grappler who fell in love with his striking.
Yep.
And you can't, I think your worst idea would be to totally try to change who you are as a fighter going in against DJ. I think you would just find a way to tighten your screws on the things you're already amazing at. I got Demetrius, and I think it's pretty easily.
9,400 on DraftKings against the 6,800 for Cejudo, minus 500 against the plus 400 for Henry Cejudo. I think I can't say that that's wrong, even though I don't like those odds. There's no value in DJ there. The prop bet, though, being in that 4th or 5th round, you're going to get a lot of odds. But I like also the submission play for DJ. You're going to get a little more value there.
Because everyone's assuming that he won't go for a submission because he knocked him out last time.
Exactly. So, yeah, there is potential there to have some money.
But that twitch, like you're saying, I think there's something to be said about the hand-eye coordination that Demetrius Johnson has that's on the next level. And he sees what other fighters might see a split second later than him. And that's how he caught Henry Cejudo the last time. And it could happen the very same way again. It sucks Henry Cejudo's only way of beating him is staying on the feet. And that is where
how are you going to do that? How you going to do that? Then we go to the main event at bantamweight, 135 pounds. We stayed in that lighter weight division in the UFC the entire night. I think Maheta versus Holland is at 185 is like the heavyweights of the night, or they're the heaviest guys by far. But we're getting another number 2 in there. Cody Garbrandt getting the immediate title challenge after being finished in their last bout against TJ Dillashaw. Both of these guys are definitely the top 5, if not top 3 fighters at the division. We're just waiting for TJ to win again so he can fight DJ and move down, and that would be hella fun. But this is a near even fight because it was a close one. In the first fight, Cody hurt TJ with the right hand, and then TJ was saved by the bell. I mean, TJ was all sorts of hurt, and then the round went over, or the round ended. TJ came back, put a game plan together, and ended up finishing Cody with a right as well by stepping in with a beautiful switching right. Cody Garbrandt, beautiful boxing, crisp straight punches, tons of power, moves well, definitely team alpha male product. TJ Dillashaw is all of that and a bag of chips. He definitely has taken his game plan further and realized that specific Miocic level of training camps that are devoted to you and specifically you are working out for TJ more, because he can't be in there with 40 other people that just paid to be in the gym. It does affect the level of one-on-one specificity that you get in the gym. And I do think that we're seeing these tailor-made camps definitely benefiting fighters more. So I see more of the same happening, but more tentative for both fighters. I think that first fight was really fun, and they both got hurt because they both were so amped up.
Super emotional.
It's super emotional. They both felt each other's power, and like we saw in that T. Wood Thompson fight, they didn't get in as many scraps as they did in the first fight. Why? Because they both understand each other's power, so this is going to be much more of a technical game. This is going to be much of a battle of inches by far, and this is going to be a technically sound bout. This still has potential for fight of the night, and I think they both can get hurt. I'm not worried about either one of their chins. What I have seen, though, specifically a lot more in this fight is a respect for both fighters. Cody Garbrandt has definitely mined his P's and Q's a whole lot more, at times being like, hey, not talking as much shit as before, and I think that's indicative of what's going to happen in the fight, where Cody isn't going to come in there and expose himself to the big shot like he did, the same as TJ did with his knockdown. Look at where TJ walked into that punch because he was trying to make something happen. I think both guys are going to be much more on the back foot and picking their shots much more carefully. But I do have TJ winning this in a decision. I have decision written all over this. All over this for everything that I was alluding to first. I want to hear what you're going to say about this fight, and then I got a greasy one for you.
Okay. I have Dillashaw in an easy knockout. I think Cody is still too emotional in there, and in my opinion, Dillashaw is one of the guys that should be in that pound for pound talk all day. Even if you look back at the Dominic Cruz, which Cody handled Dominic Cruz in that fight. But in my opinion, TJ never lost his belt to begin with for Dom to have had it to give to Cody. I don't know if Cody should have been through the ranks as quickly and he beat Dom, who wasn't the Dom of yesteryear. TJ's beat all the best guys. TJ is entirely a different fighter. It takes a whole camp, like you're saying, to kind of put together these game plans to beat each fighter, where I think TJ, what he has going on in there, he's really the only guy that I can even see close coming to where I would have him and Hine on who can beat DJ. He would be a guy, because I do think TJ, of what he's put together in there, is something special. He walked right into Cody's hardest punch, like you're saying.
Yep.
He walked right into it. It didn't friggin' knock him out. So I'm not worried about him getting knocked out. I think TJ has a great chin, and he's taken Cody's best power. The second he took the best power and he realized it, the fight was a whole different fight from that moment on. So I actually think you get a different TJ going in, because TJ's already felt Cody's hardest strike and it didn't put him down. So I think you get that much more aggressive TJ, that much more of a TJ wearing out Cody's cardio in a way he's never had it worn out. I do think Cody has crisp, excellent boxing. I still think the most amount of experience that he's had in there is the fight he got knocked out against TJ the last time. I just think TJ is one of the greats. I think we'll be talking about him as one of the greats, and I don't think he needs to beat Cody again to solidify that at all, but it's here, so okay.
What, would beating DJ absolutely solidify it?
Yes.
Because that is the next super fight. I mean, that's what we all
And a lot of people, that when he lost his belt, a lot of people did not agree that he should have lost that belt. So it's almost like the loss like John Jones had, where it's like, he shouldn't have had that one L, though, on his record. So that's kind of how I feel about it with TJ. I really like TJ in this fight.
So, just to not completely be overly one-sided, Cody Garbrandt, a lot of people have been saying that he was hurt, he was having all those back issues. They moved that fight back multiple times the first time around due to Cody's Garbrandt's back issues. But now he's had over 6 months, he's had all of his surgeries, he's actually had a full training camp. So, just throwing that out there in case it's people are like, oh, you're all just on TJ. Garbrandt, it might be looking better than he was before. Minus 120 favorite, or near even, against minus 105 for Cody Garbrandt. TJ being the slight favorite there. I see this being minus 115 by the end of the fight time.
I see TJ being a 2-1 by fight time.
8,200 on DraftKings for TJ against 8,000 for Cody Garbrandt.
That's a little too close for me. So I think there's money to be made on TJ there.
I think I'm going to put TJ. I'm going to expose myself to him more. I could even see this being a 5-rounder. Stacking a couple of these guys, maybe on those double-up tournaments where you just need 2 to get over 60. Because I see a decision more than I see a one-sided finish.
I think Cody's chinny, and I think in the next few years everyone will call him chinny. I'm just saying it first.
Woo!
Because I know for a fact he's been knocked out before, and I think we've seen him get knocked out again. I think he'll be somebody who's known as a chinny fighter.
So
at 135, mind you.
The LaTB conspiracy that I want to throw your way. Do you remember the first time around when there was some really absolutely ridiculous talk where Cody Garbrandt was telling TJ that who showed Team Alpha Male how to do steroids? TJ.
Oh, yeah.
Remember all that? Well, that didn't just evaporate for me. I'm just like, dang, that's crazy. And then I saw a couple threads on there of people saying, look at TJ Dillashaw when he was first going to Colorado at other gyms and stuff, and his body did change a little bit. And look at him again now, where he's at now, and he's put on that muscle mass again. There was you could see the hiccup when USADA potentially came in. He might have had to get off the sauce a little bit, and potentially he's got a bunch of new doctors in there, and he's looking all bits of bodied up that he did at his peak prime, where there's been allegations that he's done the juice. Where that plays in to Cub Swanson is they now own a gym together. Not to say that Cub's a cheater, and I don't want to put that on him, and he's never been thought of, but if you go to the Diaz brothers, everybody is on steroids. Everybody. So, just put in a little LaTB conspiracy on why the juice might be flowing for Cub. There might be side products. I'm just not coming out of my ass with this. Like, you can look it up yourself. TJ might have shown people how to get the loose juice in there.
Or you don't think then that TJ is onto something with his training techniques and what him and...
I think that helps on top of everything else.
I think you can change your body from certain exercises. Completely change it. And I do know they have a different strength and conditioning coach that they're riding with that they're super high on as well. And I'm not taking away from anything. I just know that guys living in America, the amount of times that they have to be tested over people that are living in other countries is insane. They have to be like ready at a beck and call. There's an app on their phone. They show up at their house at like 4:30 in the morning. So not that it's not possible.
Thank you.
But if the allegation is that their new camp is on steroids, then cool, even more so that I say pick TJ on your clip.
I'm just saying, because let that be revoked after the money comes in. Let that check be cashed, and then, yeah, take it away. I just
think TJ's going, he wants the longevity of this, and he's going to be the best, he wants to be the best fighter ever. That's what he wants. And so I think once you're popped, you're out of that talk altogether. And DJ's never been in that talk. I just think that's a bullshit thing that guys say about other guys when they're beating them. Well, you're on steroids. Well, we're getting the same test. And to throw Cub down river with TJ.
I'm sorry. I'm throwing it. It's a conspiracy. Not founded. I'm just throwing it out there. But who did we end up going for our LaTB Leslie Smith underdog pick of the week? I think Wager Gager solidly Cub Swanson there.
And then Dynamite Taylor.
No. It could be JJ too. Could be JJ.
JJ Aldridge.
I'd be more comfortable with JJ than Taylor.
I think JJ has a harder fight than Taylor does against Vieira. I think Vieira could snatch it up, even though she's
it's Viana, not Vieira. Vieira's the better one out of the two.
That's why I was getting it confused. Is it the wrong girl?
No, Viana's not as good. So that's why I think JJ has actually an easier shot there.
They both are a little painful. I don't know if I can go with JJ. I feel better about Daniel Taylor. I think Daniel Taylor is going to get the finish in it.
Oh, man. Do we not have one? Do they cancel each other out? Do two negatives make a positive? Which I guess means we have to pick one then.
If you're listening, maybe you have to make your own Leslie Smith underdog pick.
You got some choices.
Yeah. So thank you for listening, and we will see you on Sunday.
Let's go the bean!
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.